It's time to change your story. And right now is a really good moment. We have a new moon in the sign of Pisces, and not only do we have that, there's a whole stellium right now in Pisces. We have 6 different aspects of the cosmos lining up there. And we know that when things are aligned in a certain sign, it's because things are also aligning in a certain way in our life. So this alignment with this Pisces energy, and especially the North Node in conjunction with Neptune, is really bringing a powerful wave of consciousness, of love, of being able to reach the next level, to tap into how to finally change that story.
A new story means that we are able to tell our own story, to clean out those ways that feel like not of our own and really become that we want to tell to the world that we are. Honestly.
We're going to talk about all of this and more in a moment, explaining the new moon, all of the aspects and important things that we have discovered. But first of all, I want to say welcome and welcome back. My name is Jennifer EIREEN.
And I'm Federico Focha.
This is the Web of Wonder channel, where we talk about the beautiful weavings of life. As you can tell, our life story is also changing. We are back yet in another location. This time we have arrived again in winter, which looks a bit like autumn right now. And the sounds are very different. Before you click away, I am sure that you have a life story that you would like to change. And if you don't know what that is, if you have trouble recognizing it, what was the first thing that came to you when you saw the title of this video, when you decided to click? What was there? It might have been an image or a small emotion, or just something even more abstract somewhere in the back of your being. But maybe try to focus on that, and that could be a key, a little indicator on what type of story it is that you are ready to transform into something else. So honoring Pisces energy, which is very fluid, very intuitive, very, very spiritual, I felt a call to actually begin this video with pulling a tarot card. And today I also have a special deck with me, which is the Dream Vision Tarot deck. It's a very beautiful, colorful one. So I'm going to pull a card to also help us guide and navigate these energies. So what is the power, what is the potential of this new moon? What is an important message for us to remember while looking at the charts? And we actually have 2 cards that just came out. We have the moon itself, which is kind of covered in a haze, in a fog in this card. Very, very blue, very dark. And the other card we have is the sun, which came out in reversed. Yeah, this is the other way around. So this is a very interesting pairing, and as you can see, these are also very interesting cards. They're beautiful. With the moon energy and the sun energy, we have like a consecutive row. Yeah, we have the 18, we have the 19. The moon really representing our subconscious, and the sun really representing that awareness, being able to penetrate outwards. With the sun being in reversed, it's really about focusing on finding that awareness in the inside. So now is really a time to go inwards, to dive inwards, to have those deep, deep realizations about your life, about your dreams, your visions, your desires, about your motivations, and to really be aware of how has it been going with your habits? How has it been going with your health? How has it been going with your relationships? So the moon is really about being able to understand the underlying instinctual behavior as well, yeah? And allowing the flow of the cycles. So also a good moment to tap back in to at what point in your personal cycle are you actually in? At what point of the natural cycle is the environment you are in right now? Are you experiencing seasons? Where in the world are you? What is the temperature? What are the plants doing in this moment? And that can give you also a little bit of a hint about which energies you can align with right now to feel more in flow. it's very interesting that these two cards came out together, because it is also important that we don't look at parts separately, that we have a holistic process where we do the deep diving, but then also we try to find the reason for utilizing it. We try to find the logical ways to apply it. We try to find the ways in which that wisdom is actually beneficial and nourishing and helpful and illuminating for our life, for our day, for the world, so that it's not just these insights that we're having, but that we are also doing something with them. We're utilizing them as well. So I find that with these two cards, there's really these circles are present, yeah? And I feel it's really a moment to find the pearl right now, to find our inner pearl and to understand what that pearl is for, what it can do, the kaleidoscope of energy and geometry that it can produce. But this card came out behind the moon, yeah, and it came out in reverse. So this is really about a deep moment of internal and intuitive illumination and recognition. So let's dive into the astrology chart, and then we will see how these messages further weave into the moment. We have a little visitor here. Dogs love us, but especially also you. Your energy is just really pure to attract animals, which in some situations is not so beneficial, as when we were on the airport recently and the airport guards were checking everybody's bag with dogs that were sniffing for plants and drugs and whatnot. And the dog just got really distracted by the bags and instead went over to you and wanted to play with you. And I tried not to worry, but he was called back by his handler. And yeah. So Fede, when you tune into this new moon, what is the first thing that comes to you?
A leap of faith. That's what I feel. Yeah, because we have so many activations in Pisces happening at the same time. Slow planets, really fast planets. Yeah, so they are touching to each other and therefore activating things in many realms. Yeah, and Pisces is just the space for the consciousness to be in touch with the consciousness itself. Yeah.
So which planets do we have in Pisces actually? We have the Sun and the Moon. We also have Mercury.
Yeah.
We also have Saturn.
Yeah.
We have Neptune and the North Node right there in conjunction. And then we have another planet in a water sign, which is Mars, forming a trine. And as you may remember, Mars was retrograding the last weeks, really slowing down those kind of actions that we were craving to take. And now Mars is finally out of retrograde. So we may feel this like relief and an intense drive to do.
Yeah, the momentum is beating to go into something. Yeah.
But at the same time, Venus is preparing to go into retrograde as of next week. So while one energy is shifting and we finally move forward, the other energy that is like complementary and also kind of the opposite also in a way is preparing to go inwards, to slow down, to do some deep dive, to do some digging. And that may feel at the same time uncomfortable because we want to do, but now suddenly we're maybe asking ourselves, but what?
Yeah.
And why?
And this energy is Venus, which feels like quite like uncomfortable because Venus is used to be with the other, to recognize by the other, but this time Venus is in Aries, so it's a very individual way of perceiving the world, like feeling attracted towards individuality. When it goes retrograde, it's like to check how are we relating to individualities, and that's quite a leap.
There are not so many aspects like squares and oppositions with this new moon, so maybe because of that it also really feels like finally there's some energy that is really supporting us and holding us. And as I mentioned, there's so many energies right now in the same sign that it feels like things are finally lining up. They're understanding where each other's energies are, and they kind of have the same things available, the same energy, the same tools available right now. But what we do have is a square to the planet of Jupiter. Jupiter is in the sign of Gemini, and Jupiter also recently went out of its retrograde phase and is transitioning back into a forwards momentum.
Remember that on the full moon just 2 weeks ago we were talking about renewing agreements, changing the agreements? Well, Jupiter went into direct just the next day after the full moon. That was on the 4th of February. And if you check on what was starting to resonate with the strength from the 4th of September until now, you'll find that something is manifesting, that is expanding beyond the usual. And that is a big clue towards where we are moving. What is expanding there? What is manifesting? And that is pretty obvious.
And I think the clue right now is to really understand not only what story do you want to shift out of, but what story do you want to shift into? How do you want to change that story? If you want to rewrite out the bad parts, well, what are they going to be replaced with? And I think that's a process that is also being reflected right now in my personal life. I'm actually doing an amazing course that a friend is offering right now, where we are looking at our relationship patterns connected to our mother-father experiences and different aspects of life, and really trying to assess and then reprogram. And this is exactly what we were talking about in the last session, which was yesterday, was that now it is time to move out from the moment of just discovering what has been the trauma, what has been the story, what has been the so-called life script that is running our experience. And now we are shifting our focus to understanding what affirmations do we want to include, what changes do we want to make, how do we want to rewire and reprogram. And that is a really important and key aspect of the whole process. Yeah, to not get stuck in the analyzation phase, but to get into the movement. And that is what Mars energy is helping us to do right now, is to go into those movements, while Venus is really able to understand maybe how to rewire. Yeah.
And how we are rewiring to the stories that we've been telling about ourselves in the past. Funnily, in the most recent past. What stories were we talking about ourselves on February? How do we feel about that? And those stories are connected to relations. It's a good time to check on how these relations are creating stories in us.
So how to change your story? What if you really want to do that and you don't know how? Well, there are many different ways. On a psychoanalytic and therapeutic level, you can dive into analyzing your so-called life scripts. There's a lot of theory about this. You can read about it, search for it online, and really understand how you have been conditioned in your lifetime by the experiences in your early childhood that you have had with your caretakers. You can also go into understanding more about the blueprint that you came on this earth with, and what are the challenges, why you may be falling into certain story patterns, and how other parts of that story may be overlooked or wanting to be weaved in. To do that, you can analyze your natal chart. You can learn about astrology. You can do that on your own, or you can find an astrologer to help you with that. You can also contact us to give you some support. Or you could lean into other modalities, the gene keys, the human design system. They have really helped us. There's so much that we can do to analyze what is influencing and impacting us. How are we being conditioned by society, by our environment, by the experiences we have? But then we want to always remember to also go into the positives of what do we want as a result? What kind of change do we want to see? How do we want that change to feel? And what are the important underlying patterns that will help guide us towards that change in a sustainable, long-term, beneficial way, where we are now changing our lifestyle versus doing a 2-day crash course and then never doing it again. Yeah, it's about implementing something new so that ultimately the course, the direction can change. One thing that we should note is Venus and Mars are also in a square to each other, which really brings a kind of evolutionary tension. Yeah, it brings us the energy that really allows things to move and shift, because it gets uncomfortable and we finally want to. We want to change something. And I feel that this energy is really beautifully integrating itself into this whole Pisces bath that we are in right now.
And towards these three in Pisces, Mercury, which is the faster planet, is touching every single one of the planets that is there. So it's bringing specifics. It's bringing like a lot of things to the surface. Yeah, that's why we were talking about many topics that are not usual, are more like in touch with the ethereal. We can call them on your way, more spiritual. Yeah, which also represents topics that are there floating in the collective mind, but that we can feel in our own story. Yeah, so we are speaking about what we are feeling that is going in our world, but from a very individual perspective, which is good because it may be represented the voice of many individuals that are in touch with what's going on in the world collectively.
This whole Pisces energy is really connecting us to the overarching theme, to the bigger topic, to the bigger vision, to the more profound sensations. It's enhancing our quality to feel on the subtle, emotional, energetic, and spiritual realms. So this is not so much about how do we change everything in our physical life, which does happen, but understanding where it comes from the inner vibrational and energetic reattunement. And from that place of changing, from that place of new understanding, enhanced awareness, awakened consciousness, deepened intuition, we are able to slowly also experience a different external life. I feel like it's always so interesting to observe what actually can you observe right now in life. And if you want to understand the energies, right now we have so much Pisces energy that a lot of these Piscean topics are really showing themselves, at least in my life, and maybe it will be interesting for you to examine that as well. What have you been watching? What conversations have you been having? What have you been writing and thinking about and doing? So for example, we have been watching a documentary about Antarctica, and this really evoked a journey into something really seemingly out of this world, yet part of this world, but kind of unknown and untouched and just full of wildlife that is just, yeah, this pure natural element. And at the same time, so much of this wildlife was very curious to get to know the humans who were there filming the documentary, and just remembering all of the consciousness, all of the different forms of consciousness, and remembering the consciousness in everything. It really, yeah, gave me a beautiful sensation of just remembering that. Another topic right now has been dreaming, dream journaling, but not only that, going a step further, going into the new story, into the new life, into the bigger vision, using AI to do dream journaling, which is something that a friend has introduced to me and is a really powerful practice. For the first time ever, we have been using AI just to play around and do creative things. And it feels like really a different part of life has opened up, a different part of consciousness. Yeah, there has been somehow a connection with a different kind of collective consciousness that we now have access to, that we have been resisting, or I have been resisting for a really long time now. And it also feels like some of the fears have been taken away that have been limiting a creative process. Because maybe some of you know we are astrologers, but we are also artists. So we are exploring a lot right now with our artistic tools and ideas, and really allowing us to reconnect with that purpose, with that vision, with that drive and that desire that we feel on a deep spiritual and energetic level.
It's a perfect time to feel into what has been silent for a while. Creativity. It has been just like asking to have a place to be, to be in touch with the world, to be witnessed. And recognize that there is a voice pulsing out of something that for a while has been just put it aside or not really listened to. It's a time, perfectly in time.
And allow changes to happen. Don't freak out when some things maybe need to be replaced or aren't working anymore. To understand also where our energy has been stuck, has been really infused into the objects that we use, and to take some time to consciously either connect or detach ourselves from things, to be able to revise Do I still need this? Do I still feel a connection with this? Or maybe does this item or this relationship just need a good cleansing? How can we clean the slate? How can we smudge ourselves or bathe ourselves? And this is, I feel, also a powerful time to do simple and profound things and rituals, like taking a good bath while you set your intention. It's a new moon. So it's a moment for renewal, but also for cleansing, for preparing for that new, making space for it. Taking a bath, maybe even cleaning your feet, massaging your feet. Pisces connects to the feet. And the feet is where we take in energy from the ground, from the earth. The feet have so many nerve endings. And it's such a powerful practice to take some time to really nourish our body in ways that are very holistic. Like, we have been learning more about Ayurvedic oils and oil massages, and just really incorporating maybe something new, something simple, but very deeply spiritual into your everyday practice, to bring yourself, to gift yourself a newly fresh sense of excitement and soothing and taking care.
We are reviewing our relationships as this time with Venus is opening up, and that is not only relating to people but to the environment in which we are. It's a good moment to actually ask ourselves, how do we like what we like? If we actually keep liking what we used to like, and that can bring us into specifics, just little nuances that we are noting that actually we are just not liking anymore, and it's great. Because we are open into a space of the consciousness taking space for us to really feel into ourselves as individuals in touch with the whole atmosphere. And it's completely okay if we don't like certain things, because the atmosphere is open to change when the individual recognizes from where one is being. And it's simply about having a critical eye.
Think about the feet related metaphors of life, the very fluid systems, the universal systems that are kind of running in the background, your lymph system of your body, for example, and figuring out how to take care of those areas as well. You may also notice that conversations are changing, that the topics are becoming more cosmic, more lucid, more fluid, more conscious. And so also understanding, where does your brain need to be stimulated with topics? Maybe watching a different type of film, a different type of documentary, or a different type of podcast. So as we already mentioned in the last video, we highly recommend listening to the telepathy tapes, because it is just very mind-blowing, eye-opening, and a beautiful contribution to the scientific field. We also learned really interesting things about the body and the nutrition and the metabolism of the different body types that we experience as humans. I can also link that in the description. Really interesting knowledge that a lot of science has not been including in its research, that has not been made mainstream knowledge, where a lot of people actually have false knowledge about it, because a lot of testing has been done only on certain groups. There are really high differences in the way that we digest food and how our metabolism is running. So knowing things like this, learning about Ayurveda maybe, knowing things like this can really help you to create a more holistically healthy foundation that then also supports you with having different actions, conversations, experiences in your life. We need all of the parts to be in harmony. The body, the soul, the mind, the spirit. And so right now is really a beautiful moment to take actions on those different levels, figuring out which areas have been lacking attention, where have you maybe been over-focusing, and slowly starting to shift, getting that back into your habits, those forgotten aspects. And that can also be restarting your yoga habit, your meditation habit, your drinking enough water of the day habit, your habit of smiling and laughing, your habit of going outside again now that it's getting a little bit warmer in the northern hemisphere at least. So whatever it is that calls to you, I think is a good indicator for helping you change your story. And of course, writing out your affirmations, using your voice, doing your magic, doing your rituals, and allowing your being to actually shift the energies and the frequencies, and remembering that you are able to do that. That we are more than just Earth, that we are more than just this waking life. We are also the dream world. We are also different dimensions. We are holistically, spiritually, cosmic beings. One of the sentences that came to me when I was tuning into the energy right now is to really notice the stuff that is still kind of floating around that hasn't been taken care of. And for me, that also included making phone calls, dealing with bureaucratical things that have just kind of been there floating around in the background and now need to be moved, need to be grounded, need to be taken care of. So figure out if there's any stuff floating around. I think overall this is really a beautiful moment to focus on the word holistic. Focus on what does your life need to be holistically healthy again. And what I'm also sensing is that Pisces is the higher octave of love. Yeah, it's the universal, fully conscious love. And also focusing on those areas of the body of your life that are connecting with that love. So it may also be a beautiful moment to focus on the heart chakra, to focus on opening the chest, to focus on the health of your breasts, to focus on the health of your back and your shoulders, and to really feel into how are the areas of love and connection and profound deep meaning and fulfillment. How are those areas being covered in your life right now?
And the cycle keeps going, but every cycle has its gifts, yeah, its colors to paint with, but it keeps going. After a painting, another painting comes.
With the next continuation of the cycle, we will tune in again for the full moon that is happening, but also there will be some really interesting alignments, conjunction between Saturn and Neptune. So we feel that we're being called also to make a video about that because it's something really interesting. Do you want to share anything about it?
Yeah, something very important. It's activating global activities because it's redefining borders, is redefining definitions that are present in the whole world. So it's something very big that is in touch with what's happening in politics, in geography, and that of course is touching us because we are part of those politics and that geography in one way or another.
And when is that happening, that conjunction?
Well, it's already happening. We are 4 degrees about to be in that exact conjunction, so within the next 2 to 3 weeks we're gonna be feeling it like strongly. We're gonna be hearing some things in the news, some stuff related to that requires of having again a critical eye onto it.
So if you want to know more about that, if you feel like curious and excited about it, then stay tuned and subscribe to the channel so that you'll also notice when we share the next video about it. Otherwise, we will see you with the next moon, with the full moon. Thank you so much for listening. If you would like some personal guidance from either of us, I will link all of the information below. Something that has also been reactivating in my life right now with this moon is my deep connection to poetry. And I have actually been filming a project that consists of ceremonial poetry connected with visual video content. And some of the first videos are going to be released now with this new moon. So I will also link that down below if you want to go and check it out. And leave a like, leave a comment, share your experiences, share your tips for healing and finding a more holistic way of living life, or also if you have any questions. We would love to engage and interact with you here. Other than that, we will see you next time. Yeah. Lots of love and goodbye.
Goodbye.